Revelation 13. You need one, I got next. Alrighty, we started it. What was the name of the beast?
Antichrist.
What was the title of the beast that came up out of the sea?
Huh?
We talked about it last week. Anybody listening last
That,
week?
that was a long time ago.
Antichrist?
Antichrist. And this person will be a political leader. He will be a leader that will bring 10 kings together and end up with 7. He will conquer 3 of the kings. He'll try to do it diplomatically to begin with. And that's what the European Union's doing right now with the euros, one money for all of Europe. And they would like for it to be all of the world. And then another leader will come up in the next set of scriptures, and he will be a religious leader. And he'll try to bring all the religions together to worship together in one place. And not have anything that offends anybody else. So Jesus can't be the only Christ, and that accept Muhammad.
Won't that get confusing?
And Buddha and Shinto and all the rest of the guys. What?
So won't that get confusing?
Not for me, but for a lot of people, it can be very confusing.
Yeah.
But the Methodist Church surely won't do that, right?
Amen.
Huh?
They're already
Not
doing
this
it.
church. Not Bonds.
In 1982, the 38th Street Methodist Church in Indianapolis held a seance in the basement so that we could understand the Satanists.
Wow.
That was a Methodist church. And there was a news article this week, I sent it around. Methodist church up in California, 2 gay guys proposed to each other in the congregation, and the congregation gave them a standing ovation.
Google the leadership.
Well, California, there you go.
Google the leadership of the Western Conference.
Yeah. It's
An openly gay woman that's married that leads the Methodist Church Western Conference. And she says this will be inclusive. This will be a more inclusive.
It's a sign of the end
church.
times, and this guy is going to try and do that, but we're already heading that direction in all directions. So the second man of the Trinity comes up after verse 5, and then the third member of the Trinity comes up in a chapter 2. But the first one to rise up is the Antichrist. Let's reread that because it's been a week and we have some new people here. And I saw a beast coming out of the sea. He had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on his horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled a leopard that had feet that were like a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast the power and the throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was astonished and followed the beast. Men worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshipped the beast and asked, "Who is like the beast? Who can make war against him?" He's going to be a very powerful, very ominous type of person. That's going to be very charismatic, and he's going to have great political skills. Odds with a man with no experience and only 1 year in Congress become president, but to have great political skills. So he's going to be a person that you wouldn't think could possibly pull it off, but he's going to woo the people and lead them like the Pied Piper of Hamlet. People are going to follow after like he's God. And it says here they worship him. Have you ever watched some of the politicians on TV and looked at the people behind them, how they're responding to the speech? It's like they're in total awe.
Joe
They're
Biden
just-
does that every time.
What?
Joe Biden does that every time.
He's got it down.
I don't think he knows where he's at though.
I mean, they look at these guys like they walk on water, and you know, it's, if you know anything about any of them, none of it's good. And yet we're pre-electing them over and over and over and over again. And it just gives them power. Why a leopard? Why a bear? And why a lion? What do those things, why did God put those things in there for us to consider? Okay, we've already talked about the bear. It's probably going to be the Eastern Europe nation, Croatia, Georgia, East Berlin, that block of countries there that are between Russia and France. Switzerland is bordering on that group of nations. So the bear is going to be the old Russian bloc, the European Russian nations, and there's several of them there that Russia freed when they took down the wall. Now they're going back in and taking it back. I said at the time, they're not really setting them free. They just don't have the money to take care of them right now. So they're going to give them to us, and we're going to take care of them until they're ready to take them back.
Yep.
And then they'll move their tanks in, and in about 3 days, they'll have them all back again. And that's exactly what happened. They rolled their tanks back in there, and now they belong to Russia again. How about the leopard? What countries were represented by the leopard?
Sudan, Africa. Close. Let me get closer than close.
Turkey,
Turkey.
Turkey, all the Middle East countries, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, the old Persian Empire and the Assyrian Empire, their mascot was a leopard. And so all those countries there around Israel and bordering onto Turkey and whatever, that is the leopard flock. That's a group of countries, and most of them are Muslim, and most of them are going to be a great asset to the beast because they all hate Israel. So he's got a locked-in group of people there who will attack Israel in a heartbeat if he'll just say go. Okay? So, and all the oil. Got all that oil in that area, and that makes him rich, that makes him powerful. And so the leopard is those Middle Eastern countries that are just south of the bear. Now, how about the lion?
England? Around England? England? European?
Yeah, the European. France, England had the lion was on a lot of their shields. So there would be England, there would be France, there would be the northern countries, Sweden, Netherlands, all those up in there. They all are represented by the lion. So we're talking about Europe over to as far as Egypt. Okay. So what it's saying is these whole countries will get together, and there will end up being 10 of them. At the moment, the European Union had 12 countries in the European Union. How many do they have today?
10.
What?
10.
Not quite. 11. England bailed out. So they went from 12 to 11. When they get down to 10, we've arrived. You can watch for things to start happening. Okay? And there's a couple more saw England leave, and now they want to leave too. So up around Sweden, Norway, up in there, some of those are getting real antsy about staying in. So politically, they're wanting to pull out too. So we're going to be down to 10. Now, what's wrong with this scenario? 3 making a trinity and composed of 10 nations. How do we know that this is not from God?
12 is his number.
Huh?
God has 12 tribes.
Yeah, God has 12 tribes. God's numbers are 3, 7, and 12. Okay? Satan tries to create his false religion, and he comes up with 3, 7, and 10. And right away, we know something's wrong with this picture. Okay? Or we should know. We should know. And you know now, because I just told you, right? Okay. So, what happens to this? Why does it say 10 and 7? Why does it say that? Well, if you go over to Daniel on your sheet of paper there, Daniel 7, 24 and 25, he gives a better explanation of this. So we're going to go there and we're going to look at that. Somebody read that who's got the paper.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times.
Okay. So he is going to rise up. He's going to bring these 10 together. 3 of them are going to try to rebel, and he's going to conquer them and absorb them into the other 7. Okay? He's going to do that in order to control them. And that has been a ploy for, the Roman Empire was extremely good at that. They would roll in, they would take over they first roll in and say, hey, we'll build you schools, we'll build you roads, but you have to give honor to Rome. And some people bought into it and said, hey, it's better than half our men getting killed. There's Romans as far as the eye could see, and everybody knew how cruel they were in battle, so a lot of people just gave in. Some people would rebel against them, say, we don't want to be under Roman rule. And what they would do is they would go into that country, they'd conquer the country, and then they would spread the population of that country all across the rest of their kingdom and move new people into that country to occupy that country, people who were loyal to them. And empires have done that since the beginning of time, since the beginning of history. If you don't capitulate, if you don't obey our rules, you'll be living in Italy and you'll be washing somebody's toilet for it, because we're not going to put up with it. And if you capitulate and pay your taxes and live under the ruler, the conquering empire that's coming in, they'll educate your kids, they'll build your roads, they'll give you good things, but you have to pay taxes to them. If you don't, you're liable to be living in Russia likes to send everybody to Siberia. Never hear from them again. About 1 winter later, they're gone. So if you live in Russia and you don't behave, you get to live in Siberia for at least a half a winter. And then the bears get you. All right, what he's going to do is he's going to take these 10 kings and he's going to subdue the 3 that try to oppose him, and then he's going to have his 7, the holy number, right? But we know it's not true. He's not God. All right. Any questions on that? Now, there's 2 other verses there talking about this ruler, and it gives us a description of him. When you therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth and let him understand. And Daniel said that at the very end in 25. He said, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, times, and dividing of times, or half a time. So what's going to happen is, the first 3.5 years, he's going to be a very charismatic, peacemaking politician that's going to woo everybody over. He's going to let Israel rebuild the temple. And then at the 3.5 year mark, time, times, and a dividing of time, or half a time, at the 3.5 year mark, he's going to take over the temple too. Now, I sent you out a email this week about Israel has appointed a high priest for the building of the temple. You guys all get that? Yeah, yours keeps coming back. I need your email. Something other than Facebook.
Does anybody here have an iPhone?
Yours don't come back.
Okay, I
Maybe
don't
your-
have it set up on my stupid iPhone. I can't figure out how to get
Somebody
that.
needed your number. It was me.
Okay.
I think I got it.
Well, I need your two.
I think I'm getting them, but I don't have it on
But
the phone.
last Tuesday, Israel appointed a high priest to rebuild the temple. About 20 years ago, Israel contracted the Bedford Limestone Company to cut stones for the building of the temple.
Crazy.
Israel?
Oh my gosh.
It was-
That was crazy. I read that and I thought.
Well, if you go back in the Old
Bedford,
Testament,
Indiana play into this.
if you go back in the Old Testament, when David was given the order, was given permission to build the temple, there was a stipulation that no stone could be cut on this temple site and no hammer could fall or be heard at the temple site. The stones all had to be cut somewhere else. There couldn't be any violence in the area of the temple because it was supposed to be a temple for peace to bring about the Prince of Peace. Okay, so all these stones had to be cut somewhere else, and they had to be shipped in, and they had to be pre-cut and pre-measured. They had to fit at an alternate site, and then shipped in and reconstructed at the temple site. They were not allowed to hit them with a hammer. They were not allowed to cut them in any way. They had to fit when they got there, and they were not allowed to adjust them. Okay? Well, they have mimicked that today by having them made in the United States in Bedford, Indiana. And all the stones were cut. Each stone was made so that it would fit with the next stone. They were all numbered. They were all shipped to Israel, and they're stored in a warehouse in Israel, ready to be assembled.
So they're already there?
They're already there. And just east of Bedford, just east of
You didn't have anything to do with it, Matt.
Dayton, Ohio.
I did it.
Yeah, you were still a kid when that happened.
I'm still a kid.
Just east of Dayton, Ohio, there's a Jewish farm. The Jews have contracted a farmer to recreate the red heifer that was to be used to dedicate the temple when it was first opened. And they have rebred the red heifer that was talked about in the Old Testament back in David's time. And they have a herd of them there ready to ship them to Israel for the event, for the opening of the temple.
Where's this at?
Bedford, Ohio, or Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio. East of Dayton, Ohio, in southern Ohio. Okay. So all that's in place. They got the red heifer ready. They got the stones ready. They have appointed the high priest to start this. All this is coming together right before our eyes. The time has arrived. Now, if you go into Matthew chapter 24, the disciples asked Jesus after he went through the chapter 24, they said, when will all this happen? And he said, the generation that sees Israel return home will also see my second coming. They returned home in 1947. I was born in 1946. So it's my generation. How much longer can I live? Well, you know, my generation is expected to live like 75 years. So we're going to see major things happen in the next 5 years. I'm not going to tell you the date. I'm not going to tell you the year. Because Jesus, they said, they wanted a more specific time, and Jesus said, I don't know, nobody knows, only the Father in heaven knows. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what's going to happen, because I'd be telling you that I know more about it than Jesus. And if anybody ever tells you that, hit the door as quick as you can. Just get out of there, because you don't need to be there. I'm not going to tell you. All right. And then in Thessalonians, it gives us another description of him. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. What's it mean by falling away?
Anyone? Anyone?
Remember the church of Laodicea? Become a lukewarm church and didn't buy into anything, and it would go wishy-washy, just accept anything, be a politically correct church, not take a stand on anything, not oppose anything. Anybody's sin was okay if they loved Jesus. Well, when it says falling away, it means that the church will abandon its original foundation. It will abandon the doctrines that were given to it, and it will abandon the Word of God. It'll become a political association of people. That's what it means by that. Who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is a God. Okay. 3.5 years, he'll be a political leader. He'll be very coaxing. He'll be able to lead people places they never thought they'd be willing to go. And then at the 3.5 year mark, he slams down his fist. He says, I am God. You're going to do what I tell you to do. And he goes into the Holy of Holies of the new temple, and he does something despicable. It was done one other time by a Roman ruler, and he went into the Holy of Holies and sacrificed a pig on the altar of God, just before they tore it down in year 70 AD.
Did he get blown up right there?
Now, God had long left the temple many years before. God was no longer occupying the temple. This guy's going to do something similar. And there would be nothing more disgraceful in the Jewish nation than to have pig blood on the altar of God. That would be the worst thing that he could do. And he's going to do something very similar to it. He's going to do it at the 3.5 year mark, and then for 3.5 years, he is going to be the ruler of the temple. He is going to be God. Okay, so let me read 5 through 8.
The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemous, and to exercise his authority for 42 months. He opened his mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. He was given power to make war against the saints and to conquer them. And he was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast. All those names have been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world.
Okay. All right, look at some of the things that happened here. You're gonna blaspheme God. Our children can't carry a Bible openly in school, but the guy that laid a Koran on the floor down at Gitmo was fired from his job and thrown in jail. Is this starting to look familiar? You know, you can't have any semblance of God at all on any public. You can't put a manger scene on public ground now. Okay, but the Muslims in New York City could go out into the street and block Fifth Avenue 5 times a day and have prayer, and the police have to be there to direct traffic around them. What happened to this country? What happened to this world? This right here. What?
Obama.
Okay. Yeah, I heard. But the bottom line is, we're starting to see these things happen right before our eyes. Other religions are exalted, and Christianity is being pushed down, 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 so that there will be no competition for what needs to happen for this guy to take over.
I heard, and I don't know if this is true, that if you employ, I don't know what the number is, so many Muslims or what, you have to give them, pay them, but give them a break for prayer time to face west. And I don't know if that's true or not,
Yeah,
but I'd heard that somewhere.
it is true.
And they don't give us, I mean, if Christians were to say, hey, we want a 15, we don't even get breaks. We have a half an hour for lunch. 3 10-minute breaks that run concurrently.
You pray on your lunch hour.
Right, right. But with Muslims, they're actually given time. I mean, they have to by law at some companies.
Exactly right.
And I don't understand it. I don't know why we tolerate it.
It's just the beginning of this era of human history. And it's described here very clearly. Now, after he takes over the temple, it says here, 42 months. Remember Daniel said, times, and a dividing of times, or 1 year, 2 years, and a half year, 3.5 years. This says 42 months. And remember, it's talking literally of a specific period of time. When it says it 3 different ways, it means this is the period of time you're looking at. 1,260 days, 3.5 years, 42 months. That's all the same period of time. And it's screaming at us to say, don't wash this down. Don't interpret it into something it's not. It means 3.5 years. It means 7. Okay. 3.5. Okay, we'll pick up at 10 next week. And don't lose your barcode thing, because the last half of 13 we get into the barcode thing. And the number 665.